All right, Ladysmith, a councillor of the EFF in northern KwaZulu-Natal, is facing possibility of having to cough up 500,000 rand to compensate a district mayor he defamed on Facebook last year. This was after the Pietermaritzburg High Court on the 22nd ordered Lwazilakhe Nkosi to withdraw the false and defamatory statements he made against uThukela District Municipality Mayor Nkosi Shabalala from the IFP. Nkosi, who is an EFF councillor in the Alfred Duma local municipality, which is one of the 3 local municipalities making up the uThukela District Municipality, wrongfully accused Shabalala of nepotism, amongst other things. He was given a 24-hour strict deadline starting from the day the order was issued to withdraw the false statement and defamatory allegations, publicly apologize in writing on his Facebook page. It's not yet clear whether Nkosi abided by the order to apologize to Shabalala or not. However, he has noticeably gone silent on his Facebook page. His posts are no longer as frequent as they used to be. Nkosi was also interdicted by the High Court from making any defamatory statements against Shabalala. After oral evidence had been heard, Nkosi found himself having to compensate Nkosi Shabalala with R500,000 rand. This is as the High Court ruled that the quantum of the lawsuit in which Shabalala wants to be compensated with R500,000 rand will be determined after oral evidence from all parties. The position of the government and the ANC regarding Russia's invasion of the Ukraine has led to the huge criticism from many quarters. For many, this is a question about the ANC's true values, but it also may be about the future of the direction of South Africa and whether it moves closer to the West or increasingly authoritarian countries such as Russia and China. Recent moves by the ANC and the DA illustrate these choices for South Africa in sharp relief. Over the weekend, the ANC confirmed that it had sent a delegation of its leaders to Russia to meet with the United Russian Party, the main party in that country, which closely supports President Vladimir Putin. At the same time, at its federal Congress, the DA condemned Russia and strongly backed the Ukraine. A resolution to take South Africa out of BRICS was proposed and had strong backing, but was not passed by the delegates. This was one of the moments that illustrate the divides in our country and how different people have different aspirations and ideologies, often formed by historical differences. On Monday morning, the deputy chair of the ANC subcommittee on the international relations, Obed Papela, explained why others went to Russia. He said that this was part of a much bigger meeting involving members from 30 different countries, which all believed there should be change from the current unipolar world. A 10-meter wide sinkhole that gets deeper by the day at a Boksburg informal settlement has residents in the area concerned for their safety. The community of the Angelo informal settlement told Eyewitness News that the hole was deepening since 2022 at the edge of their structures. Parents were worried about their children who had limited space to play in the densely populated area. There were no street light poles and many people risk falling into the pit at night. A black pipe that could be mistaken for a makeshift bridge laid across the wide hole, across the old dirty blankets hanging over it. The over 30-year-old informal settlement which is situated about 10 kilometers from the buzzing OR Tambo International Airport. Longtime resident Duduzile Ndlela said that her main concern was that she would end up with no place to live. She said, the sinkhole is expanding every day. It's not stopping. And if you follow its trajectory, it will end up at my home. And there is a blind man that I live next to. Residents appealed to the Ekurhuleni municipality to help with the closing of the sinkhole, but no action has yet been taken. If you deposit 100,000 rand, the Reserve Bank will have your back should that bank collapse. Through the establishment of the Corporation for Deposit Insurance, the central bank aims to protect bank depositors and also help instill confidence in the financial sector. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana signed the commencement schedule on the 24th of March, giving the body the status of legal entity. Reserve Bank Deputy Governor Kuben Naidu said it will cover deposits from the 1st of April 2024. It's been established that news of the exemption jolted parliamentarians seeking urgent meetings with the Treasury this week. On realizing that a number of committees had an interest in the matter, it was decided to convene a joint meeting of interest committees, according to the Parliament insiders. This because 5 parliamentary committees want answers about the Eskom exemption. Parliament is on Easter recess, and its committees have to apply for special permission to hold meetings during this period. The joint meeting is scheduled for Wednesdays, according to sources. We just need to know what informed this decision, said the source, who spoke on condition of anonymity. The meeting will comprise the Public Accounts Watchdog, SCOPA, the Standing Committee on Finance, the Standing Committee on Appropriations, the Standing Committee on Auditor General, and the Portfolio Committee of Public Enterprises. It's been reported that a notice in the Government Gazette on the 31st of March, stated that Eskom would be exempt from having to disclose its annual reports for 3 years irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure starting from the financial year that ended in March. The utility said it had been engaging stakeholders from the Treasury and Department of Public Enterprises for several months on its proposal to seek ministers' approval for the exemption and departure application. Media officer Rufus Matsena and physiotherapist Tebogo Jomo are still in North Africa with more than 2 weeks after the gallant CAF Confederation Cup group stage fixture against Al-Qadar in Benghazi and losing 4-1. The owner of the hotel where the DIRCO believes that the pair are being detained is adamant that Matsena and Jomo are safe, but will not allow them to leave the country before he is paid $37,000, which is about 650,000 rand by Sillo. Speaking yesterday, the Sports Night amplified host Andile Ncube to explain the situation. Dr. Eli El-Zagra gave his side of the story. El-Zagra claims that he helped the DStv Premiership side travel to Benghazi for the match, bought them a kit when theirs got lost in transit via Turkey, and accommodated them at his hotel but did not get paid. I want to say I'm not holding anybody hostage. They are there as part of an agreement between myself and the chairman, Mr. Rufus. They have internet, they have food, staying in 2 big suites, and they have their freedom. People are trying to change the story to make it a criminal intent. I am here and I have done interviews with journalists. I'm not a terrorist, but an owner of 3 hotels. It's not good to use such words as holding hostage. That's not the case. Now, the Department of International Relations CO's head of diplomacy, Clayson Muniela, confirmed that the department was in the process of reaching out to the Libyan authorities to get the 2 gallant officials home. We have an agreement. The guys are staying here until I get my money. The chairman asked me to let them go because they have another match in a few days, but told me to hold the 2 guys until he sends the money. But now he's breaking the trust. The transfer of the money in a few minutes away from my laptop. No one has been able to speak to him over the last few days, even the 2 guys here. Gallants have progressed to the quarterfinals of the Confederation Cup after finishing top of their group and only broke their silence in a statement on Monday. Now, a French politician poses for the Playboy magazine, which has sparked controversy. If you didn't know, every day at about 8:20 a.m., Adam Gilchrist chats with Bongani Bingwa about the top global stories. Today, Gilchrist chats with Mandy Wiener about some of the political ooh-la-la after Marlene Schiappa, 40 years old, the French Minister for Social Economy, sparked controversy posing for France's April edition of the Playboy magazine. Listen to Gilchrist. He said Marlene Schiappa had absolutely said that women's bodies should be able to be exposed anyway. There should be no problem. This is the social content. It's about choice and freedom, and it shouldn't be about whether or not it's the right thing to do. Her supporters say she shouldn't be doing this. She is fully clothed and the only features on the cover. Now, reports reflect that the politician's feature in Playboy will accompany an interview on women's gay rights and on abortion. Reports also claim that the government officials think that Schiappa's recent pose was inappropriate, and others think that this is her way of being relatable. Defending the right of women to do what they want to do with their bodies everywhere and all the time in France, women are free, whether it annoys the retrogrades and hypocrites or not, Marlene Schiappa said. I wonder if we have politicians who could pose. Anyway, Tutuzile Zuma Sambudla said that the DA has just given more votes to the EFF with Malema comments. Speaking after his re-election as the DA leader at the party's electoral congress in the weekend, Steenhuisen warned a coalition between the ANC and EFF would be a disaster for South Africa. He said today, I publicly declared Julius Malema's EFF to be the political enemy number one of the DA. And I commit the DA to fight back against the EFF at every turn with the ultimate aim of defeating the doomsday coalition that could seal South Africa's fate next year, he said. Zuma Sambudla joined the chorus of reactions to Steenhuisen's comments, predicting that this would come back to bite them. She said that the DA, through that John, had just given more numbers and voters to the EFF by declaring Julius as an enemy, she said. Steenhuisen also told the delegates at the Congress of the DA is the only party that is big enough and strong enough to stop Malema. Malema has yet to respond to Steenhuisen's comments, but retweeted posts claiming that the EFF was the biggest winner from the DA conference and is giving many sleepless nights. Steenhuisen said the DA would work to unite opposition parties under a formal pact to avoid the ANC-EFF coalition next year. A disbarred attorney has been sentenced to 10 years behind bars for the spate of crimes which she committed after she was barred from practicing as a lawyer. Rugaya van der Schyff, 57 years old, was sentenced in the Belleville Commercial Crimes Court, where she faced 48 charges, including fraud, money laundering, theft, and contravention of Section 33.4 of the Legal Practice Act. She was convicted on all charges after she entered a plea and sentencing agreement of the state. Van der Schyff was admitted as an attorney in December 2002, as a conveyancer in September 2003, and has practiced under the name R. Van der Schyff Attorneys. National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson Eric Ndabazalila said that Van der Schyff was struck off the roll of attorneys in January 2017. Although she was struck off the roll of attorney, she continued to do legal work for payment and instructed her clients to deposit monies in a bank account belonging to Lubelu Investment 10cc, which was later registered under her daughter's name. In March 2021, she received 261,279 rand from Kutazwa Mpombo for a house she was buying from Nelson Mbulelo Jacobs in Strand. When Mpombo and Jacobs arrived at her offices, she introduced herself as Miss Pande. She asked Mpombo to transfer purchase and legal fees into the investment bank account and never told them it was not a trust. After numerous inquiries and hiring lawyers to investigate her case, Mpombo was informed that the property was never registered in her name. Ismail Samuel suffered the same fate when he deposited 291,215 rand from the property he wanted to purchase from his neighbor, in Bonteville. That is now 22 minutes before 10 o'clock. And that brings us to the end of our first installation of Moment in Current Affairs. Do stick around and don't touch that dial. This is Keith Ngesi Radio, radio according to you.